being broken is not weak. Staying broken is weak.
2, 1. Now we're live with Aaron Requeña, aka Lord of the Land, aka Aaron Prime, aka Big Trash. That is his rap name. What's up, Aaron?
It's a lot of aliases.
I know. How do you keep up with it? Do you have like multiple social securities? Like, what's the process like with that?
I just kind of invent one every day and just hope they stick. You know.
What's
Baby Boy? You can't forget that one.
Baby Boy that's the OG. I was gonna actually save that one. I was gonna sprinkle that in about at the 5-minute mark.
Okay.
You beat me to it. Might as well call this Requeña Talks, because this is your podcast now.
A little bit.
What's up, buddy?
Chilling,
How you doing?
man, chilling.
It's good to have you on here. We've been talking about this one for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
We always have good conversations, and now it's
In front of cameras.
now it's just like, let's get 3 cameras and some lights rolling, some whiskey in our hand, and let's just drink.
This is either gonna be like the most insightful talk or
Mm-hmm.
like a complete shit show. I haven't decided yet.
I know, and as many of you know, Aaron talks a lot, and so this is gonna be an easy podcast to do. He's just gonna keep talking and talking and talking. But you know, I think one thing I want to start with is just, you know, when you have the Clippers and you have the Lakers, and you got both, and they play in the same stadium, and it's just like, you know, who do you go for? You know?
I'm not even gonna make a joke here because I was thinking of all the jokes I can make.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say I'm a Lakers fan.
You're a Lakers
Leave it
fan.
at that.
Okay, you're a Lakers fan. How long have you been a Lakers fan?
Legitimately since I was like 5 years old.
5 years old. And
Yeah.
how old are you now?
25 years
Shit,
old.
and they said we won't go make
Make
it
it
past
past
25.
25.
Oh, you're 25 now. That's what's up. And you just had a birthday.
Yeah.
You just turned 25.
Tuesday.
Yep.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yep. And it was like a birthday party mixed with a zine
Like a magazine
release
yeah.
and everything, because you do that. You're an artist, for
Something
those of
like
you who
that.
don't know. Well, you do also sell makeup.
That's what I primarily do. Mary Kay, Avon,
You started doing flat tummy tea.
flat tummy tea.
Flat tummy tea.
The hair gummies are kind of on the side.
I was on that, and then I was like, they're not paying me enough,
Yeah.
so I got to step back.
But like,
For all you guys,
We'll
we're
take
just
all the
fucking
coins.
around. We're honestly fucking around, obviously. No, Aaron's a photographer, and you know, you made this cool. It's a zine right here.
yeah.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
You got the shirt on. I see.
Yeah.
Yep. It is a huge commercial, apparently.
Walking
And-
billboard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, man, I fucking love you, man. You are super creative, one of my best friends, and I want to talk about. Let's talk about this first. Like
Okay.
this recent zine that you made. What does it mean? I'm trying my best. What does trying my best mean to you?
So I think it came for me at this time of like feeling like I was working on a lot of other projects for other people with other people that weren't necessarily what I wanted to be doing at the moment. And I think I wanted to start the year just being like, well, what do I want to do? What's a project that I want to be like my passion project and put everything into it? And even the title just comes from like, I feel like as creatives, a lot of the time, like, we're kind of in the art of like comparisons if you think about it. Like,
For sure.
we do something in a very public forum, and everyone is entitled to their opinions, and comparison is just a part of that. So for me, the way that I kind of like deflect those thoughts is just being like, well, who cares what everyone else is doing? Like, if I'm doing my best in whatever I'm doing, then like I can be cool with that, you know? And that's not even just like a creative thought, that's just like a life thought. Is like, I just have to run my own race. And be cool with whatever happens.
Cool.
And that's kind of the message behind everything.
Cool. And you've been running your race for a minute.
For a while.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is like what you love to do.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I definitely, my thing I always say is like, I just make stuff. I don't like to put a title as like, I'm a photographer, I'm whatever. I just like to make anything.
That is true.
And for me, like, this is not even like, I don't really think of it as like a photo book. Like, there were so many things in the process of making that where it was like, yeah, I could have just put like all the photos full spread and just let everyone look at the photos. But it's like, no, I wanted to make the best product. If that meant like playing with the design so like the photos are small but the layout looks better or whatever, like that was what was important to me. It's just to make the best overall book. And I'm happy with it. I definitely think we did everything we set out to do.
Yeah.
And it's a good feeling.
I think it's great. And it's a lot different than your previous one. It's
Oh, yeah.
smaller. It's like half the size. Like what was the process like of like I'm gonna make this one a little bit more bite sized, like it's cute.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's a little cutie.
My homie, my homie who designed that, Claudio Rodriguez, like he's fucking insane.
Okay.
Like that
Claudio.
man knows his shit.
Shout out.
And so when we were just sitting down figuring out exactly how we wanted to do it, he came with the idea of like, well, let's make it truly like a coffee table book.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like that's just kind of the inspiration for the size, is being like just something that you can have on your table and be like, oh, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than being like me take out this massive thing and flip through it. It's kind of just like oh wow, like this is really cool. And that's kind of how it came about.
Cool. That's what's up. Yeah. And like you mentioned before, man, like you do just make stuff. Like you aren't just a photographer. It's just like one of your hats that you wear.
Yeah.
You know, you, like we said, you sell makeup. You know, you take photos, make videos, make music.
Yeah.
And you make friends. You see what I did there? The little sprinkles.
With the left hand.
Yeah, man. Nah, so like that's cool. Like what like I don't know, man. We've been friends for a couple years, and I don't think I've asked you this, but like, what got you into like just wanting to like make shit and just like, hey, I want to express myself, because that requires a lot of courage to like make shit and then put it out in the world and have it judged and be like, you know, like I like this. Do you guys like it too?
What brought me to that point? I just know that throughout like my whole life, it's always been a different medium at a different time. Yeah. So like when I was, you know, young, 5, 6, 7, I wanted to draw everything. And then I feel like that's every kid, is like the first thing is like get some colored pencils, get some crayons, some paint, and you want to make visual art like that. And I think I grew from that to when I got closer to high school, like wanting to make music, and that was my whole thing. Like everyone that I went to school with was like, oh, Aaron makes music, like that's him. And once I kind of evolved from that, then it all became about like photo and video, and that's kind of what feeds me right now. But like in a couple of years, like who knows, you know? I don't know where it's gonna go, but I just enjoy always making something.
You enjoy the process? Yeah. That's cool, man. And you get to meet a lot of cool people along the way.
That's the best part, honestly. Yeah.
Who's the coolest person you met besides me?
Damn, that's tough.
That's a tough question, huh?
I feel like I've become like genuine friends with so many people.
Dude, you really have, man. That party that you fucking had recently, like you had a lot of people show up. Man, that shit was in Glendale. It's out of the way for some people. Oh, yeah. And like, I don't know. I think those are true testaments to like, all right, yeah, I can have clout or whatever online. I can get likes and everything, but who's going to show up in person?
And for me, like, that's kind of the main reason why I do like parties or anything like that. Not just to like celebrate, but just to be surrounded by all these people that I've known from like so many different aspects. Like, I had people there that I've known since I was like 5, and then I have people there that I've known since like as early as like last year, and like the love is the same, which is really cool. So I feel like that doesn't happen a lot.
You're just consistent, bro. I think you're just like you do. I've met your childhood friends, and they have nothing but great things to say about you. I can't say the same about you to them. And you talk shit, you know what I'm saying? No, but like you do have friends where it's just like, yo, I just met you 6 months ago. I just met you there, and you're just a dope person, man. That's why I had to have you on here. And I think like the party was a good example. I remember I was in there and I was just looking around. I was like, man, this is dope. And you love throwing parties for your birthdays too.
That's the only time.
Yeah. You like just getting people together and just hanging out.
I feel like, especially with this one, like I didn't even really think about it in the context of like, oh, this is for my birthday. For me, this one was more so like I'm making something that's kind of like an offering to everyone else. And you offered the magazine. And just like having the photos around, having everyone just be able to like connect or whatever you're going through, you forget about it for like however many hours you're there. And that's kind of the point of everything. Yeah, man. It was successful. Thank you. It was successful. And well, you know, speaking of success, when you hear the word success, right? What does success mean to you? That definition has changed for me recently. Really? I feel like for me, it used to be defined by like what I was gonna do creatively, who I was gonna work with, what level of like, just like that thing where you're just like, if I work with this company or this person, that's when I feel like I'm gonna think that I made it. And I feel like for me, like I don't care about any of that at all anymore. I feel like for me, it's more so like, how many people are you making a difference to? How many lives are you impacting? When you're not here anymore, what are they gonna say about you? Because they're gonna forget anything else that you did, who you worked with, what you had. What did you do?
Mm-hmm.
Did you give anyone something memorable? Did you tell someone some advice that's gonna like carry them into the future?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for me that is kind of how I look at legacy now, as opposed to like everything else is just gonna come and go. You know?
So it's like that's like kind of your North Star right now. It's just like legacy. Like what am I gonna leave behind? What kind of impression? What kind of impact am I gonna give people? Like who I meet, right? Not just
like even just like with my work, I feel like I've taken more of an approach of like, does this mean anything to me? Because if it doesn't, then what am I doing? You know? And that's not to say that every project you work on is gonna be the Mona Lisa, but it's just to say like, are you putting something into it that you're proud of at the end of it?
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think so many people get lost in that these days, where they just kind of want to put shit out just to put shit out. Maybe put shit out because it's going to be with this person. It has this name attached to it, this collab and everything. And yeah, man, it seems like you got some good North Stars, you know?
No, I do. I feel like I was that person at one point, though, where I was like, not for any other reason, that I've just always been like a very eager creative. It's like I make something, I want to put it out right away. I mean, and then I got to a point where I'm like, okay, but am I giving it enough time that I'm making it to the best that it can be? Or is it just like a factory at that point where you're just pumping out stuff? And I don't really want to be a factory. I want to be like a quality creative.
Quality creative.
Yeah, that's all.
Stamped.
Quality
creative. Okay, so when you think of successful people, who are successful people in your eyes? Like, who are some of your North Stars that inspire you? People that you just look at and you're like, man, that's a successful person right there. That's someone that I would probably like follow in their, not in their footsteps, so to say, but just like their examples that they've set, the paths that they've set for their careers, or just how they lead their life.
I think one of the first people that comes to mind for me is Kid Cudi. Like, I'm a huge Kid Cudi fan.
I already knew that was coming.
Fucking love Cudi.
Cudi, man.
And I feel like just his whole thing where, like, he always says, like, his mission statement from day one is to, like, make kids not feel alone, stop kids from committing suicide, and just, like, what he does means a lot to him. And that's definitely one of the first people that come to mind. Another person that comes to mind, Donald Glover.
Yeah.
Because he just does whatever the fuck he wants.
Multifaceted.
Like, he could just wake up one day and be like, I'm going to make a film. And the next day, I'm going to make an album. And no one's going to tell him he can't because he does everything to such a high level.
Dude, okay, I'm going to break real quick. He is almost like a slept-on version. I don't want to say version, but like, all right, so Kanye is given this plaque of like, man, he's so multifaceted. He could do this, this, and this, and this. And like, I feel like Donald Glover does that to a T without so much of the controversy and all. And he does it a little. I'm not gonna compare, but you feel me on that? Like you feel me on that? I feel like
he picked up a torch from Kanye at a point.
For sure.
Like Kanye is definitely like the father of that certain lane group. And he got to a point, and Donald Glover was like, let me further it. And kind of
sharpen the sword on it.
Sharpen it. Yeah. I feel like where he's at as opposed to where Kanye's at. And it's not a dig because I fucking love Kanye, but he's just at a more tasteful point right now to me.
For sure.
And
maybe Kanye's more of like the pioneer that's like, I'm going to just fucking go over that mountain and see what's over there. And then he's like the trailblazer, but it's like messy. It's like scribbling out of the lines.
Me and my brother talk about this a lot. How like one person kind of like forms the path, and then people further it, and in a lot of ways sometimes do it better. We talk about that with music a lot. Like an example is like, okay, you have to say that Kanye is one of the forefathers of his lane of music.
For sure.
Then after him comes probably like Cudi was the person that took a lot from Kanye.
Yeah.
And then after Cudi comes Travis Scott. So if you think about it, Travis is an offspring of Kanye, but not directly. He's an offspring of an offspring. And I feel like that's the way that I look at that.
He's the grandchild of Kanye.
Yeah.
But like, technically, he's like the brother-in-law.
Yeah, it's like the same thing with like Lil Wayne is like one of the fathers, right? And then after that,
I like this, the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, and after that, it comes Young Thug. You can't have like Gunna and Lil Baby and all those guys without Young Thug, but they're all offshoots of Wayne. You know what I mean? Like,
who is your hip hop rap Mount Rushmore? The go to the, and it's subject. Hey, everyone listening, fuck your opinion. You're not on this podcast. I'm just kidding. But okay, look, it's your opinion. No, there's no right or wrong answer, but sometimes there are wrong answers. So please don't let me down. Put Jay-Z up there.
Oh, of course.
Okay,
Jay-Z's
so Jay-Z. Okay,
that's
okay, Jay-Z's on there. Some people just don't know.
Okay, Jay-Z's up there for me.
Okay.
And that one doesn't need any explanation.
No explanation. He's the GOAT.
Kanye's up there for me.
Okay.
Because I feel like his run of like his first 6 albums, I don't know anyone else who had 6 great albums back to back.
No, man. It's really hard to beat that.
I can't not put him. And he's probably one of the biggest reasons I became a creative to begin with.
Yeah.
I put Kendrick up there because I do think that by the end of his career, Kendrick will be the best rapper of all time. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with his rapping ability. Yeah, for sure.
And then the last one for me is kind of a curveball. Okay. Because if you look at discography, you might not see it, but if you look at impact, just like flow, style, lyrics, Andre 3000 is up there for me.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot. Doesn't have a lot out there, but
he doesn't.
But you know what? I feel like this Mount Rushmore is mostly who's impacted you the most.
And he's like one of the. He doesn't get enough credit for the impact he's had on music.
Absolutely not, because he's more of like a low key, like I'm just behind the curtains. I'm gonna pop out and just sprinkle in some shit and just fuck all y'all up type of dude.
And then go away.
Yeah, and then go away. So we forget about him in today's day and age. It's like who's seen the most is like who's winning. But yeah, I mean, all those are GOATs right there for sure. Like I'd have Jay-Z up there. I'd have Ye. I'd have 50, and then I'd have Dr. Dre, because Dr. Dre like I want to put K-Dot, but like Dr. Dre influenced Ice Cube, right? He brought NWA, Ice Cube, Eminem, 50 Cent, Kendrick. Like he brought Snoop, like his umbrella runneth over, and it's just like
that's true.
Ooh,
50 Cent might have the best debut album I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's
Get
like
Rich or Die Trying.
That's an instant classic. That's a top 10 album of life.
Yeah.
Like if you don't listen to that album, I can't date you. As a girl, like I'm just saying, like if you don't listen to Get Rich or Die Trying, I can't date you.
I was listening to Lil Wayne on the way here. I was just thinking about how like disrespected Lil Wayne gets, and I was like, man, like I get it that after a point like he wasn't the same, but like don't forget that Lil Wayne was like non-debatably the hottest rapper on the planet
for sure for like 3 years, for like 2-3 years.
Yeah,
for like 2-3 years for sure. Like back to back. Like he had repeats,
and it wasn't even like close.
It's just like when he got a guitar and jumped on the mic, like I got lost right there. But like, come on, man, like mixtape Wheezy, like come on.
And also like hip hop is the one genre where like people are afraid when you try and take things in a different direction.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
it was ahead of its time, I think.
And then we got Young Thug.
Young
Thug that just came for barter.
I fucking love Young Thug.
He fucking came through and he was like barter 5. What a dick.
I love Young Thug though.
Yeah.
Young Thug is another one that when he's done, like people are gonna realize how impactful he is.
I was listening to fucking Thug this morning. I literally was starting my morning with some Thug, and I was like, I think more people should start their mornings with Thug, and like the world would run a little smoother. You know what I'm saying? I was listening to the Lil Baby track. Lil Baby off his new track or his new tape. But okay, since we're on the topic of music, I mean, this is an important question that people want to know, man.
I feel like I know where this is going.
Does Drake have a classic album?
So this is an opinion that I'm willing to fucking die on a hill for. And I feel like I have to preface it by saying, like, I fucking love Drake. I'm a big Drake fan. But the man does not have a classic album.
Ooh.
And he doesn't because he doesn't have to.
Ooh.
Drake's formula is not to put out a great body top to bottom, a great body of work top to bottom. Drake's formula is I'm going to give you hit after hit after hit.
Yeah.
And we are not going to measure Drake's career in the end by like albums. We're going to measure it by like, look how many times this man charted and had number ones. Yeah. And I feel like I say that and people lose their fucking minds. So.
Some would say that Take Care is classic. Some would say Nothing Was the Same as classic. What is your criteria of classic? Because I want to get this known before people throw apples at you.
There's a few things. I feel like for me, your discography gets directly compared to who are your contemporaries at the time, right? Yeah. So for Drake, the natural ones that come up, Kendrick and Cole. Yeah. Do I think Take Care is a great album? Yeah. Do I think it's better than any of the strongest Kendrick albums?
Absolutely
no.
Not.
They teach college classes on Kendrick albums. Like he won a Pulitzer Prize, you know?
Yeah, that man fucking won a prize, bro.
Yeah.
He didn't win an award.
He won a prize.
He won a prize. I got a prize-winning album, bro. That's different.
That's different.
That's different.
Does he have? Is his top album better than the top J. Cole albums? To me, no.
Wait, does Cole have a classic?
I think he has two. I think he has Forest Hill Drive and KOD.
KOD's an undisputed.
And KOD then brings me to the next criteria. Did you make a project that had a cultural impact? KOD did.
Mm-hmm.
Forest Hills did.
Mm-hmm.
To Pimp a Butterfly, Good Kid, Mad City, Damn.
Damn
Is like, come on, bro. You can listen to that shit. He literally re-released it in reverse, and it still made sense. There's cohesion there. There's planning there. As opposed to Drake, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna put on this album. There's gonna be like hit, forgettable song, hit, forgettable. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like it's not fair to say he's in that same vein, album wise. Now, if we're gonna have the conversation about numbers, sales,
I mean, it
charts,
takes a cake.
Easy.
Takes a cake. Easy. Yeah, of course.
And
is he a fuckboy?
No, Drake's not a fuckboy.
We like Drake out here. I listen to Drake daily.
Yeah. There's people that probably like stop the podcast at this point, shaking their fist.
If you made it this far into the podcast, I love you. Subscribe. Leave a good review.
We love Drake.
We do love Drake. I fuck with Drake. I think he's done a lot for the culture. And he's arguably the hottest rapper for the last decade. Like he owned the whole decade. Obviously.
I think Drake has probably had the biggest cultural impact as
an artist, as a hip hop artist,
but not because of his albums.
Yeah, it's not albums. Like you're right. Like he'll come through and he'll drop like 0 to 100. Like 0 to 100 alone made more impact than someone's album.
Oh, for sure.
Than like people's album who dropped that same time.
Easy.
You know what I'm saying?
Easy.
Obviously, things have changed now because I'm wearing glasses. Sorry for any audio listeners. I put glasses on that look like Aaron's. Okay.
Did you know I was gonna wear my glasses?
No, I did it. But I just got these for like the LED, like blue light shits.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because like my eyes are straining and I was doing a lot of computer work.
You're gonna sleep well too.
I'm gonna sleep well. I want to sleep like a baby. Honestly, my 3 goals this year are to eat well, train well, and sleep like a baby.
Those are good goals.
Those are 3 goals. That's it. Being a good person? It's like top 10.
Top 10? Not even number 4 or 5?
Not even 4 or 5.
Damn.
Yeah. Dress well. It's 4. Flexibility is 5. Okay. Jokes aside, I want to ask you, like, when you were in high school, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, like, just any year and everything, like, who's Aaron Rec? Who are you? What kind of student? What kind of guy?
So I would say the first 2 years of high school, well, the first 4, I would say, or all 4, basketball was my life. Like, that's all I wanted to do. And the first 2 years of school, high school, I wasn't a good student at all. I really just didn't care to be, which is bad. But for me, I guess that's not where my brain was. That's not where my focus was. For whatever reason, I couldn't tell you the answer. And then I feel like after that is when I was like, well, why don't I just like apply myself to what I'm doing? You know what I mean? There's a difference between when you're not capable of doing something, when you don't want to do something.
Yeah, like you just weren't giving it your all.
I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, let me get this together. Let me figure that out. Basketball was still a huge part of my life, and that's like where a lot of my focus was. But in those last 2 years, I feel like that's when I kind of flipped over more to the creative side of being like, okay, what do I see myself doing long term? What has always been the thing I find myself going back to? And that's when I kind of focus in on that. I feel like as a person, I became a better version of what I was. Like, I don't feel like I've changed at my core, but I feel like I've learned lessons. I feel like I've become more mature. But I feel like I've always been kind of the same, just like very even-keeled, very like
principle-centered.
Yeah, like
good dude.
Those are things that I feel like I've always been, and it's just being better at them as years go on. You know.
That's cool.
But I feel like I don't know. I think I was afraid to apply myself in a lot of things when I was that age. I think that I was afraid to try my best.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Now you're not.
No, I'm not.
Now you're not afraid to try your best. I love that. Yeah. I love that, actually. Yeah, man. That's cool. Trying your best. And you know what? That's one of the 4 agreements. Yeah, man. That's like my favorite book.
Yeah, I just read that like right before I was ready to do this project. And
is that what kind of influenced it? Like, was that like the standalone? Like that out of the 4, that was the one that stood out.
I think so. Yeah.
That's good, man. I remember that one comes out to me a lot when I'm like working out or in the gym, because at least like prominently, because I'm like, dude, like sometimes I go in there, I'm just like, I don't feel the best right now, so I'm gonna just tone it down and like I'm gonna do my best at 60%, because I'm 60% capable right now. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah, like that's a good book.
Yeah.
Anyone read Four Agreements. Yes. Seriously, it's a good fucking book.
I feel like a lot of people are at a place where they're like afraid to try because they're not sure if it's gonna be enough for what they're doing, and I feel like a lot of times my fear was kind of the opposite of like, I'm not trying because I'm afraid that I will be able to do what I want to do. And I know that sounds backwards, but I feel like sometimes you can be afraid of what you know you're capable of, you know? And I feel like that was something that kind of sandbagged myself for a long time.
Sandbagged.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
It's weird.
I've had that feeling. I've had that feeling of like knowing my potential and knowing where I can take things, and kind of being afraid to go there because it would change my current environment. And like it's like, oh, I love my life. And it's like, fuck, it's gonna change it. But then when I started realizing like change is the only constant, change is the only thing that's gonna actually keep changing. Right. You know, you got to roll with it and adapt with it. And I started embracing change and just like, I speaking for myself, I'm just so like fortunate to where I can like really embrace change. Like I never really recognize it until I like have conversations with people that like kind of avoid it, and therefore they lower their standards of operation. But like, man, I fucking like I embrace change a lot. You know what I'm saying? I feel like
I've come to a point where like I love new things. I love something being different than it was yesterday. Like I know you're very routine with like your everyday stuff, and I feel like that's something that I aspire for. But I also love knowing that each day is going to kind of bring something different in a way, because I feel like if I get in a loop of knowing that I'm going to do the same thing every day, it's not motivating for me, and I start to feel like complacent, and I just love everything just being different, you know?
I like that. And I'm definitely a routine. I'm a morning guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Like for sure, like I like my morning routine. But okay, so you know what? Morning routine to me is very important, right? But last year when I was living with you, so guys, last year I crashed at Aaron's place like for how many months?
I don't even remember.
Like it was like on and off, but like I'd say like collectively probably like 2.5, 3 months.
Probably
like, you know, like maybe 2.5 or something.
2,
yeah. So Aaron was the landlord, aka the Lord of the Land. That's what I'd call him. And that was so dope, by the way. Cool. That was cool, man. I appreciated that.
I enjoyed that. I feel like there were so many like great talks and great just like hanging out.
Just
that came
the energy. It was just fun. Yeah. And so something was that like my routine was disrupted during that time for no reason other than my own. Like I guess like it was my own choice, because I just didn't want to like impose too much. So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna just like brush my teeth and like leave. And
I remember there's mornings I'd wake up and you were just out, and I'm like, wait.
Yeah, well, because you would wake up at like 11:30. I'd be up at like 7 a.m.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. So I'd wake up, and like what I was used to before was like waking up at 7 a.m., stretching, laying on my acupuncture mat, journaling, making this certain breakfast, reading, then going to the gym, then coming home, and then getting into work. Like that was my shit, right? And then when my life got disrupted in the beginning of the year last year, right? And it got turned upside down, I was like, okay, I'm in a new spot, and I'm waking up, and I'm in a different place, and okay, what's going to happen? Okay, I'm going to just get up. I'm going to just like eat a granola bar and just brush my teeth and go to the gym.
See where the day takes
you. Well, I'd go to the gym right away, because it would be like, I have to go to the gym to get this exercise in, and then I'd shower at the gym. And then I'd shower there, and then I'd get ready, and then my shit was, I was ready to go by like 9 a.m. And I would hop around different, like meeting up with different friends, meeting up with different at different cafes, different that. But it was so fun, and like I learned through there like I don't need this routine. And I was so like, I remember it was at a time where like, dude, if I messed up on something, or like I didn't have such a good breakfast, I feel like it was compromising this. You know, like I got into that mode of like dependency, right? And then I learned how to adapt and in that moment, and it's just like it felt good. And I learned that like, oh, I don't really need that. So now I do have a morning routine. I love it. Like I wake up, I'll like stretch, come down here, meditate, read, you know, do all that, go to the gym, right? But there's some days where I wake up and like I don't have that time, you know, like maybe I wake up in someone else's crib and I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
If there's only one thing I can do out of all the stuff, then like I feel great and I'm able to like keep it going and it doesn't affect me so much. So I think learning to not be so dependent on the routines I create that are meant to be productive.
I feel like it's the thing I'm trying to learn is balance of like, for as free flowing of a person that I am, I'm also very like much a person that doesn't like, I don't like indecision. I don't like inconsistency. I like things to be very set. I like things to be very like, controlled. Okay, this is what we're doing. Let's roll with it. If we're already at this point in it, there's no going back. And I feel like I'm trying to learn the middle ground of also being like, okay, well, not everything has to be set in stone. Not everything is so black and white. And that's a difficult thing because I'm very much a person that like, I just love structure. Yeah. And when things don't have that structure, I go crazy.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, I can be a little like that too. I was a little like that. I wanted to control things that I thought I could control. Then I learned this thing, this diagram. It's like the circle of influence and the circle of concern, two circles of life, right? Most people operate in the circle of concern, and they let this circle become very large. And those things that fall into that circle are things out of our control. You know, people's opinion of ourselves, traffic, certain perspectives or circumstances of the situation. And then circle of influence is like our attitude, our perspective, our actions, our work ethic, our discipline, like the shit that we can control. Once I learned that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to just focus more on the circle of influence, like what I can influence, and just let everything else be cool. Like, you know, like and I'm a Libra. I'm pretty balanced. I love balance. Like I strive for balance, but I'm never balanced. That's the thing. It's like I just strive for it. And I love harmony. I love peace. We both love peace, but you know what? That's what I love about you, because you ain't no bitch. Like you ain't no little bitch. Like we love to have like that peace within us and with others and everything. But like if it gets to that level, then it's like, yo, let me show you where I'm from.
Everything for me, bro, like, and you know this about me, like everything for me breaks down to principle.
Absolutely.
A lot of the times it's not what someone did. It's like, well, why did you do that?
Why did you do that?
And that definitely gets me in trouble sometimes, because I feel like I'm so like principle based that when people don't move a certain way, that's when I'm just like either ready to go 0 to 100 or I'm like, I can't be involved with this person or whatever. But I feel like people don't necessarily understand that, like, and this also falls into legacy. My bad.
No, you're good.
This also falls into legacy of like, part of my legacy is going to be that I'm a person that did what I said I was going to do and did things in a principled way and just didn't like ever come at anyone sideways, you know? Like there's not anyone who could say that like Aaron did me dirty or like he crossed me. You know what I mean? Like I don't move like that. And it's kind of hard for me to accept that people do move like that. Yeah. It's just something I guess you had to grow up with that.
Feel you. Yeah. This is a good time for a whiskey break. This is because I feel that, and I'm gonna just take a new refill. Okay. So we'll be back in 3, 2, 1, and we're back better than ever. Whiskey always makes us better men, right?
Debatable.
I want to most of the time. I want to ask you how important is it to have principles, like, and be a principle-centered man, woman, person, like just like operate with a certain set.
I think it's everything,
right?
Man. Like I feel like if people can't take you at your word, or if people have to question your intentions with what you're doing, how you're dealing with them, it's like, how are you ever gonna have any meaningful friendships, relationships, business relationships? Like I feel like the single most important thing about even just being a creative is like people I work with know that I'm not going to be out here like doing anything dirty or behind their back. And as a friend, that's something that's so important to me. Like I just question how people don't have that compass in their head. And I think it has to be something that you grow up with or something that's instilled with you from when you're young. But like, I don't know how people don't have that.
Me neither. When I operate with my certain principles and I just meet people who have like no principles and shit, and it's just like kind of like wandering, or they like they'll do anything, and I'm like, fuck, you don't have no guidelines, no boundaries for yourself. Like, nah, like, no, that does not fall into my
Yeah. But
parameter.
I feel like a lot of things come down to like, and this is something that I'm like in a heavy stage of in my life right now.
Yeah.
Is like unlearning. And I feel like there's
Oh,
so many things that like from when we were younger to now, just like principles are something that's learned. A lack of principles is something that has to be unlearned. My bad.
no, you're good.
Has to be unlearned. And that's like a big motif in my life right now. It's just like unlearning things that I previously didn't see a problem with, you know?
Yeah, I hear you on that. I've had to unlearn so much, and I feel like I look at it as like cobwebs. Like you're just kind of going through the cobwebs and just kind of unlearn. And like, sometimes the way you grow up can influence the environment, the people you're around, and then like it's such a slippery slope because this is just shit I've had to deal with where it's like as I become more aware of myself and the world and operations and systems of thought, and then I like look at like family dynamics and I'm like, fuck, why'd you teach me this? Like what? And then there was like resentment build, and I had to go through the resentment and like break through that and then learn about forgiveness myself, like on my own of like,
That's the hardest
yo, I gotta forgive you because you were operating with your own like systems that you learned and inherited, and it's just like this slippery slope. So the best thing that I've learned is like just break the cycle.
Yeah.
Break the cycle and be that person.
There's so many things that are out of our control that we're dealt with when we're young or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just important to know that you don't have to become those things or stay those things. And I'm like so heavily on this belief of just like being a good person is dope.
Yeah.
And I don't understand when people let things that happened to them so long ago prevent them from wanting to be good people. Like, I get it, bro. This girl broke your heart when you were 4, but why are you still a bad person?
She's the best, bro.
You have to learn to let shit go. Like, let that pain go and move on. And
I know.
that's like, that's the biggest thing is like, you don't have to dwell on that shit, yo. Like, I get it that this girl pushed you off the swings when you were 7, but there's still a chance to be a good person.
Those were my favorite swings. It was my favorite swing set, and I had it with the baddest.
You know, like, I always tell people is like, there's always still like room to be who you want to be.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what the circumstances. Obviously, those circumstances are very minor and very joking, but like there are people that went through so many hardships,
adversity,
and there's still room for you to turn it into whatever direction you want to be. You know, you just have to believe. You just have to be willing to want it. You know.
Yeah, be willing to want it, put the work in, go through the adversity. I think personally for me, adversity is like where people find out who they are. They find out that's where their character is made and created, and you understand like okay, when the shit gets hot and fucking times are tough, like I'm here and I can show up. And I've had so many of those moments last year where like I'm so proud of who I am, who I'm becoming. I can look in the mirror, I can see who the fuck I am. I'm not like, damn, who am I? Like I'm not in that zone, and that's why I feel so powerful now. And it's through shitty times. And it's through adversity and not being a fucking bitch and complaining and being like, oh, woe is me.
And not losing your principles.
Don't lose the principles. Have the North Stars there.
I feel like people have this belief sometimes that it's like, well, if I act in these ways, it's like I'm cold-hearted and I'm this shitty person. It's like I'm immune to being hurt. It's like, no. Like,
no, you're losing out on so much.
Bad people could still get hurt. Good people could still get hurt. Absolutely. But the difference is a good person is not going to let being hurt deter them from doing what they know to be right.
Facts. When others go low, we go high.
Yeah, if you're so easily deterred from what you know is right, then you got some strengthening of your mind, strengthening of your principles to do. You know?
A lot of people gotta strengthen their mind. I think like I look around now, a lot of people are mentally strong these days. They get broken from a lot of superficial shit. You know, other people's opinions, the environment, social media, just what they think of themselves. And it's just like sometimes the biggest critic that you're fighting is like just yourself. I feel like that's their biggest failure.
I know all about that, and I'm definitely on the side of like being broken is not weak. Staying broken is weak. There's been a lot of times where I felt broken, but at the end of the day, like I'm still here. You know what I mean? Like it's not anything that's gonna stop me from doing what I know I want to do. Like I have too many goals in mind, things I want to do in life to stay broken from anything. You know. And that's what it is. Like that's what anything ever is. Is like I feel like it's cheesy as fuck, but I keep going back to the trying my best thing, you know, like you're not going to stay broken if you're trying your best. You're going to rebound. You might fail a couple times. That just reminded me of something completely off topic.
Yeah. What was it?
This is going to segue into a completely different conversation.
Segue.
It's about Kobe. The other day I watched his Muse documentary that came out right around the time he was retiring. And the last line of that documentary, like, got me so bad.
What do you get?
The last line of the documentary, he goes, "My brain can't process failure. I will not allow myself to accept failure as an option. If I have to choose between failure and death, I'd rather die." And that's how the documentary ends. And that's like the eeriest
Kobe,
thing
man.
I've ever heard in my life, man.
Yeah.
Like,
he's just different type of fucking animal. But are you
That
the
got me.
same animal? Or what was it?
It's the same
different
animal,
animal, but the same beast.
Yeah.
I fucking love that. Man,
Yeah,
Kobe, man. Rest in peace, brother. That is a truly uncommon person right there.
Yeah,
that
man.
reached uncommon levels
There's
of human
never going to be another
potential.
Kobe Bryant in
Absolutely
in
not.
our lifetime.
Absolutely not. And
In
he just had
anyone's
that from the
lifetime.
go. They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, are you gonna be the next Michael Jordan?" He's like, "I'm Kobe Bryant."
Mhm.
And it was like, boom. Like once he said that, I was like, "Yo, man, that." I mean, since we're on it, I mean, what does Kobe mean to you, man? I mean, let's just honor the man for a bit right now.
So this is definitely like a very deep topic for me. Like,
I know.
I've been a Lakers fan since I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And
Basically, for as long as he
for
played.
as long as he
Like,
played.
you
When he
basically-
retired, I was 20, and he had played 20 years in the league. So
Yeah.
I didn't know much of a life without Kobe. And my brother put it like really well in a way that I wasn't able to really put it in words at that point when it first happened. He was like, when we were growing up, our grandma and our uncle who passed away but were very big parts of our lives, he was like, they had Magic, they had Kareem, they had Worthy. That was their Lakers, right?
Mm-hmm.
For us, we had Kobe, we had Shaq, and we grew up like every kid in LA wanted to be Kobe in some aspect,
Every
you know?
kid.
And I think for most kids, it was probably their first role model or probably the first person that they aspired to be. Like, I know me growing up, that was a big part of the reason I started playing basketball, wanted to do any of that, and like go on the court, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, shoot in, you yell Kobe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's even to this day subconsciously where I have a bit of that work ethic where it's like no one is gonna outwork me. And I feel like that's the first person I ever seen with that is Kobe. So it first came from a thing of like, okay, we're seeing this awesome athlete, this competitive drive. We're seeing just like a true level of commitment to what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we got older, we saw Kobe the human, especially after he retired, where his life became about his family, his daughters, just wanting to enjoy his life. Basketball wasn't his life anymore, and he wanted to enjoy it. And I think we all knew that whatever he chose to do in retirement, he was going to be successful at. We saw a glimpse of it. He won an Oscar his first year retired. And it was just tough knowing that there was so much more to the story that we're not going to get to know, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there was no limit to what he was going to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all just assumed that he was going to be like how Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are just like chilling out at today's games and just royalty to the NBA at this point. I think we all just saw Kobe growing old and especially with Gigi wanting to follow in his footsteps and play basketball. Like, it was just gonna be so much fun to watch that journey, and we just got deprived of it. And I think the thing that bothers me, or like that's the craziest part, is like, it's not like he was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing. That was his everyday routine, you know? Like, it's not like this was anything out the ordinary. He left the house like he normally does, and he just assumed he was going to come home like he normally did. All those families that were on that helicopter did.
Yeah. It's tragedy. The world stood still.
Yeah, for sure.
The world stood still. And, like...
That was the thing that made me start redefining, like, what legacy meant, you know?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
felt like what was important, because I'm sure if you ask Kobe in the beginning of his career what was going to be the thing that defined him. It was going to be, I'm going to be one of the best basketball players of all time. And is that something that's in his legacy? Sure. But that's not his entire legacy. His legacy then became about determination, being a hard worker, being someone that was going to do things in the way that he knew he wanted to and needed to.
Fearlessness.
And like, are we going to remember the great athletic moments of Kobe? Of course.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to, what's today's date? I'm not going to remember what he did on February 9th in 2005.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Game he shot, yeah, like how many points and everything. Like
Right.
I don't remember like the points off the top of my head.
Exactly.
I know he got 5 rings. And, you know, I know like the big stats and everything. I damn sure don't know how many times he missed.
Right.
You know, and that's like a good thing. It's
Right.
like, yo, when a great passes and everything, like, yo, we don't remember how he failed. We don't remember the 15 rings that he didn't win.
But we remember the determination, the relentlessness.
The mindset.
Exactly.
And also, even beyond that, like, just his ability to apply himself to what he's doing at the time, the focus, right? I think it's like a God-given focus of just like, damn, I want to have that kind of focus, right? Of just like that like eye of the tiger, like beast mode type shit. We're like, man, this motherfucker did something and won an Oscar. And it's Oscar day today, right? He won an Oscar.
And his first, like, creative endeavor. Like, it wasn't like he had been at it for a long time. It was literally the first thing that he did.
That. And he's just a good example of just all-around human excellence to the highest potential. He reached that. And he was going to continue reaching that. It's a travesty that we lost him.
Yeah.
His family lost him. His family lost their daughter. It sucks. And I think it's just a good moment in time in the culture, at least to just reflect on like how can we be more? How can we contribute more? How can it's like a shock of like what is this life thing? Because okay, we didn't wake up and be like, damn, we're gonna lose Kobe. So it's like, yo, when are you gonna lose? Like when is your time?
For
you know,
sure.
like that shit makes me whenever shit like when we lost Nip. Man, I had moments where I'm like, all right, what am I doing with this shit? What am I doing with myself?
It didn't feel real in the beginning.
It doesn't feel real, no, but it makes you think at least it made me think, like, impact wise, like, what am I doing with myself? What kind of man am I becoming? What do I want to leave behind? What kind of legacy? What kind of just what man do I want to be? The example of, you know what I'm saying?
And the whole thing that you just mentioned is like impact. I think a thing for a lot of people, especially with Kobe, was like, why do I feel so much emotion, so much grieving, so heavy for this person I didn't know? But that's just a testament of how much impact he had. Like, people who know him and people who don't know him can tell stories about him or where they were when this happened. Or I remember when Kobe did this. And if that's not a sign of impact to feel that heavy for someone that you didn't know personally, like, I don't know what is. And that's a big part of a legacy is impact. And you don't have to know someone personally to impact them.
Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is going to go into a different segue. Different segue. Kobe, we love you, man.
Rest in peace, Mamba.
Rest in peace, Mamba. So different topic about impact, right? Last year when I was in Arizona, okay, I spent 30 days in Arizona. I spent the month of February, right? So it was exactly like 1 year, right? Yeah, so like 1 year ago I was in Arizona, right? And I was just spending a lot of time self-reflecting, spending a lot of time to myself, hanging out with just one of my buddies that lives out there. I was staying at his place. Shout out Jeremy Germs. And there was this mountain. He lives next to ASU. There was this mountain called A Mountain that I would climb up like relatively every single morning before the sun came up. That was like kind of like my goal, my mission of like my own Rocky moment.
I think I remember
you know?
seeing you post like stuff from that time. Yeah.
So I'd ride a bird over there, hike up it for like 12, 13 minutes. It was like a very short but steep hike. Right. And then one morning I was having some self-reflection up there, talking to God, talking to myself, thinking, very emotional. I was just laying a lot of shit out, right? A lot of stuff's on my mind. And then I'm going to get up. I turn around and I see the path that I have to take to go back down. There's a girl sitting on one of the rocks on top of the mountain that I need to pass. And I see that she's reading 4 Agreements. Okay. Shout out, right? 4 Agreements. And I recognize it from the cover. I have 20/20 vision, you know, whatever. I'm like, great book. So I'm passing by her and I'm like, I say like under my breath, kinda ish, like I'm just like, whoa, that's a really great book. And then she's like, yeah, like it is. And then she like looks up and she's just like, oh, I'm reading this book because of you. And I'm like,
what do you mean?
Whoa, like what? Like I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, you're Andres Zannelli, right? And she's like, yeah, I follow you. I follow you on Instagram. And I'm like, oh shit. I was like, what's up? And like I shook her hand and everything, and then she's like, yeah, like you recommended these books the other day, and like this was one of them, and I bought them, and I've been reading it, and my friend Germs was there, and he was just like freaking out. He's like, dude, the omens, dude, because we were reading The Alchemist, and like they talk about the omens,
Good
and
book.
he's freaking. Yeah, another great book, great book. And he's freaking out and everything. And I'm like, whoa, hey, what's up? So like I talked to her for a little bit, right? And then I like left. And then I went on a run later that day, and I was just thinking, I was like, holy shit, like I'm over here just, I think I had just dropped the first episode of the podcast maybe at that time. Maybe it was like a week before or a week after, like, because I dropped it in Arizona. But up until that point, I was just doing what I've been doing, like fucking videotaping myself in my car like a weirdo, talking these random thoughts that are on my head as I go to the gym, you know, on my way to the gym. And I'm just, you know, I don't have no criteria, no script, no nothing. I'm just like talking. And like, whoa, it transcends borders, and it's like reaching people, impacting people across states, causing them to take action just off my recommendation. Just because I'm sharing. Themselves. Yeah, just because I'm sharing myself. You know? And I'm like, whoa, I'm impacting. Yeah. And I'm like, I have a responsibility at this moment. And it's like kind of shifted something in me. Like, I'm going to start taking this a little bit more seriously. Yeah. And now, I mean, that's what this podcast is. Like, I have this podcast now, so I can speak, you know, even when it's just me, my own thoughts, my own perspectives, my own philosophies.
Just share with people.
Codes of conduct, principles, game, however you want to call it, you know what I'm saying? Big homie, little homie. And then have people like you, have people like Hannah, have more people around me that I look at, I'm like, damn, like, they're doing something. It inspires me. Yeah. And if people who listen to me are inspired, then I'm pretty sure they're going to be inspired by the people who inspire me. Yeah. So I'm going to share y'all. Yeah. And I don't know, it's like, this is impact for me.
Even
like this
what
podcast.
You're saying right now is like a kind of a feeling too that's like kind of been in my attention recently also. And you even kind of mentioned it to me when I was doing the process of like the magazine and everything, where you were like, man, it seems like you're kind of like sharing a lot more of yourself like with your work and everything. Yeah. And I feel like in the process of it, I had a lot of people that, like, for me, I just kind of think it was like, this is what I wanted to do. I'm doing it for myself. Obviously, like, the intention is to share with everyone, but I didn't think about it more than that. And it was kind of a strange feeling. A lot of people kind of reaching out to me after the fact and being like, hey, man, like, you inspired me to want to do this. Or, like, now I'm going to start my own project. Or, like, people that were at the event were like, hey, man, you're the reason why I started taking photos. And I guess sometimes it's easy to forget that things that you do intentionally or non-intentionally have impact to people. Yeah. And I tend to sometimes feel like I'm not doing enough. Yeah. Like, just in anything. Like, I'm just like, there's something I could be doing right now and I'm not doing it. But when you have those moments, you're like, okay, maybe the goal that I'm set out to achieve is like, it's inching. It's getting closer, because if one person was just impacted by it, that means everything, you know? Yeah. And I feel like that's something that's important for me going forward, is that with any of my work, I've never really thought about myself being like necessarily tied to it. Like, me as a person, me as a creative, haven't always necessarily been one and the same. But I feel like that was more so me not wanting to, but not necessarily knowing how to share which parts of me are in my work. And I feel like thinking about it, it's kind of hard to fully understand my work if you don't understand me. And that's something I'm making more of an effort to just like be more open with conversations like this, or if I'm sharing stuff, just kind of giving more of a background to it and why it's important to me, as opposed to before just being like, here it is, it's in the world, take it, you know? Like, I feel like it's my responsibility to kind of share my story a little bit more and share why things are important to me.
Yeah, I've been noticing that for sure. And I think that's dope. I think people recognize it and they empathize. That's good. I've been trying to do that too. You know, sometimes I can be same way. Yeah, it's tough. It's, you know, you're like, hey, like it's easier to kind of sometimes share work than to share yourself. It's
100%. Yeah, I'm definitely like more comfortable just being like, here it is, and I'll draw back from it than being like, here's the full backstory, you know, like, but I need to, and that's something I'm making an effort to do. Yeah,
I agree with that. So we were talking about high school you, right? High school Aaron. Is there some advice you would give to high school Aaron, to your younger self?
Yeah, don't be. I give this to my current self because it's still an unlearning process.
Yeah.
But I would say, don't be so hard on yourself all the time. You know, like I've never so much been affected by what people say about me. I'm affected about what I say about me or what I think I need to be doing better.
Yes.
And I can be. I wouldn't use the word perfectionist because I know that nothing is perfect, right? But I do hold myself to a very high standard and sometimes an unrealistic standard, whether that be in my work, as a person, how I want to like treat others, and I just need to not be so hard on myself and let myself know that I can make mistakes and that's gonna be okay. I'm gonna learn from them, and give myself that room to be like, you know what, I fucked up, and I'm gonna figure it out next time. You know, that's the advice that would probably be relevant from then all the way to now.
That's advice I could use too. Like my younger self, especially, I was like, just don't be hard on yourself. Just don't be such a little dickhead. Yeah, man. It was funny.
It's weird to think about because like we're the same versions of ourselves, right? And so some of those things are always going to exist, but the unlearning has to happen, you know? And I don't think it's bad to want to strive for that level, but you also can't beat yourself up when you fall a little bit short. You just got to learn. And that's kind of the lessons I'm learning now.
Yeah, for sure. You can ask me questions. This is a conversation. This isn't an interview.
What do I want to ask you? It's difficult because I feel like there's a lot of things that we talk about like already.
Yeah.
I feel like my question is always like, what's the next thing we're gonna do to take over the world? Like, what's our next big play?
AR technology.
You know what's funny? That's like the thing in life that like I feel like is the next thing I want to
I've been studying it more.
I want to do like software developing, and I feel like the next thing that's gonna be like the future is like AR.
Oh, for sure. AR, any kind of cryptos, I believe, are here to kind of experiment with, stay around. As far as tech goes, yeah. But I'm also interested in like real estate, property, boring shit, stuff like that. You know, like investing money into that. You know, growing a portfolio, taking over the world. Because when I say when you say take over the world, what do you mean? Like impact the world. Like how do you want to impact the world?
Reach the things that we have talked about so many times about achieving and just leaving our footprint on everything.
I look at my life in phases, and I feel like right now I'm in phase 2. 2 is expansion, right? So like phase 1 was like building the foundation. I have a pretty solid foundation as of right now, and like there's different levels to the phase. So like I'm on level 1, phase 2, right? And then there's gonna be level 2, phase 1,
right?
And, you know, right? So I got to rebuild foundation. But I feel like, okay, I am 26, 15. I'm 9 years old. Technically, I'm 9 years old. At 17 years old, I made like a dramatic shift in who Zannelli is. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier, like I was like a little dickhead, like in school and everything, and like I wasn't like the most studious, and I just like didn't apply myself, and it could be for many number of reasons I haven't gone to therapy for, but
just slide that in.
Yeah. But from my own analysis, I think I just wasn't challenged and stimulated in a way that excited me. And made my curiosity run, right? So at 17, I got in a really bad car accident, and I spent the night in jail. I woke up, I went home and everything. And then I read a book. I read The 50th Law. It's from 50 Cent and Robert Greene. Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power, Laws of Human Nature, Mastery. Really great author. And he teamed up with 50 Cent to write The 50th Law. And it's about fear. So I started understanding fear and the role it had in my life. And I remember I read the whole book in a day. I just felt like I was like in such a weird like twilight zone of like, I just got in a fucking bad car accident. I almost got a DUI. I was under the influence.
You were arrested.
I was arrested. Like I just a lot of bad shit that could have happened. I blacked out. I could have died. I could have hurt someone. I could have hurt myself. Like all this shit, right? So I was in this weird twilight zone of like, what the fuck am I doing? Because I had just like started doing some really dope hustling shit, and like I was always like hustling some stuff, you know, like the general like, oh, wash your car, like clean your garden,
just
everything, like
looking to see whatever ways you can make money.
Yeah, you know, like I always had that shtick with me of just like I want to make some money. But like in high school, I remember I teamed up with one of my buddies who saw like some potential in me. His name's Cher, and he was like, yeah, man, like I got this idea, like you could be really good at marketing. And I never even thought about marketing at that point. I was an artist. Like I did graffiti, I did cartoons, drawing. I was gonna go to San Francisco for illustration, graphic design. I was set. Like I got accepted, right? And then he was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this thing where I'm gonna make this product. We're gonna put the high school's name on it, get it from China, 80 cents a piece, sell it for $20. I was like, what do you need from me? He's like, just put down like $300-$400. I sold my DJ. I had turntables.
You were all in on it.
Yeah, I had some PT-2000s and sold the mixer and everything. I went in and I sold them, and I was like making money. I was hustling. Like I was making like a lot of money at that time, you know, and I was just like, whoa, what the hell? Like I can do something with this. And like I discovered this like business acumen that I didn't know I had, and I started reading some business books, and I was never reading, you know what I'm saying? I started listening to business people and listening to Tony Robbins and listening to like all these different influential people, and started going to Beverly Hills and like hanging around, you know,
being around the stuff that you knew you
but
wanted.
I was still like doing criminal shit that we'll talk about. But I was like being a knucklehead and just doing like just stupid shit that's like gonna fuck up my life, right? And I remember I was just like, all right, I'm like in a limbo. Like I'm sitting on a fence. I got one leg on this side, one leg on this side. I'm gonna choose. Either I'm gonna continue doing this or I'm gonna continue doing this. So I made a choice, and I buckled down. I got a little bit more focused, and I started taking shit more seriously. And that's why I say I'm 9 years old, because like I feel like 17. That's when the unlearning really started happening.
Yeah.
And I became a new person. So I feel like I'm so new with my life that like I'm still like motherfuckers look at me and they're like, damn, dude, you've done that? Like, oh, you done this? I mean, maybe they have. I don't know. They, at least to my face, they're like, whoa, that's pretty impressive, right? And I'm like, dude, I'm on level 2 of like 1,000 levels.
Yeah.
Like I know where I can take it. So when it comes to taking over the world, this is a long explanation of it.
But that wasn't going to be a short answer.
No.
There's so many layers to it.
Yeah, layers. I just feel like I'm in the fucking beginning, and I feel like I'm just getting started, and I feel fucking hungry, ambitious, motivated, driven, clear. I have clear focus. Like I have clear vision. When I say I have 20/20, motherfucker, I got a third eye between my two eyes. Like I can see shit that others can't see, and I feel so good about that because I think that's like just my God-given gift. I can't sing. I can't dance. I try to. Tequila tries to get me to dance. But, motherfucker, my gift is, like, I have vision. I'm a fucking true visionary when it comes to shit. And, like, I'm building blocks right now. Like, this podcast alone, a couple hundred people listen to it. I'm grateful. Love that shit. A couple years down the line, there's going to be, like, 5 million people are going to be listening to this. I ain't quitting. Like, I ain't stopping. Like, I'm going to be delivering. This is the second one.
I don't think people realize that, like, there's 2 key ingredients, in my opinion, to getting to where you want.
Yeah.
It's consistency.
Facts.
And it's likability. And what I mean by that is I had a teacher tell me this when I was in film school. He said, when you're working on a project, are they going to want to work with the person that is the most talented but's a fucking pain in the ass and no one wants to have around? Or maybe the person that has to do a little bit more learning as they go, but they're a joy to be around. You don't mind teaching them what they have to learn. You don't mind maybe them not being as knowledgeable because they're just a joy to be around. And I feel like that's something that stuck to me. And, you know, in my brain, I feel like I can have both because I do take what I do very seriously. I'm always learning, always studying. So I don't think a lack of knowledge will ever be an issue. But what I mean by that is, like, when everything comes back to just being a solid human being. Like, when you're a good person, people are going to want to have you around, feel the need to want to have conversations, get to know you. And people don't realize how much that comes into play. You can be the most talented person, but if you treat people like trash, no one's going to want to do anything with you.
With some exceptions. Steve Jobs.
The good thing with Steve Jobs is Steve Jobs was at a point where he, like, needed people, but he didn't really need people.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of like a Kobe too.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the likability, maybe, I mean, I guess like it was like more of an admiration than likability.
Sure. And
right?
I think even people with Kobe could see like, okay, this guy's whole thing was winning, and he was going to do what it took to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be with that person because I know he's going to do what it takes to make it happen.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I like that because that's like, I like winning.
Yeah. That
like
also comes down to like leadership styles, I think.
For sure. Different. Oh man, that's what I'm learning when it comes to leadership. You know what I'm saying? I'm like trying to sharpen my sword on leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the three things for me, like for like winning, long term impact, everything would be like sacrifice for show. You gotta sacrifice shit. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, hey, nah, I'm sorry, I want to hang out. I'd love to, but I can't right now. Gotta say no. Right. You know what I'm saying? Consistency compounds. I mean, like, it's fucking science. Like, you just, consistency compounds. If you are not consistent, you will not fucking win.
Right.
Facts. And 3 is just disciplined hard work. That's it. Like, you just work hard. Yeah. Work hard and working hard can literally be thinking hard. Thinking is work. You know, thinking strategically, implementing strategies, implementing operations, systems, putting people in play. It's hard work. Managing, leading.
I think a thing too is like, well, for me personally, is accepting a certain leadership style, right? For me, I've always been a person that like when I talked about that I wasn't the best student or it was the best thing, I wasn't a nightmare to anyone. Like, I never got in trouble. My parents never had to come down to school because I was acting a fool. I just didn't want to do the work. That being said, all my teachers loved me and all my classmates. Like I said, I'm still friends with them to this day. Yeah. And I feel like it took me a while to realize that, like, and you know this about me, I don't consider myself to be shy, but I'm very selective, reserved is the best word.
That's a good word. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I could have a conversation with anyone about anything, but for me, I really pick my spots. Yeah. And it took me a while to realize that, like, whether I liked it or not, my leadership style is that I'm going to do something and show you rather than be like the loudest in the room, because that's just not me. Yeah. And me trying to be anything other than that is not genuine.
Yeah. I see that in you for sure.
And so that was something that I had to accept, is that, like, whatever reasons, is that I have a way of just leading by example, and I need to embrace that more. Yeah. And not the easiest thing when you're kind of just like, you don't think about those things at first. But I think we all have our own, like, responsibilities and our own, what's the word? I don't know. Like, it's just my purpose to just be able to inspire other creatives, inspire that kid who doesn't know what he wants to do, or maybe has felt different emotions that he doesn't understand yet, you know? Yeah. And I feel like my leadership style has to now account for that. And I like that.
And it's about being aware of yourself. Like, you know, like, that's your mojo, and, like, you got to go in on what works for you, you know what I'm saying? Me, I can be the loudest in the room. You know that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can speak, and but I be quiet too. You know what I'm saying? It depends on the room. I'm selective. I'm reserved.
Yeah, you gotta know when to pick your spots.
Yeah, but, like, I like that. Like, I remember when I was serving tables at this one restaurant, right? It was like a steakhouse. It was like a very, like, you know, bougie ass steakhouse, like a Mastro's, but it wasn't Mastro's. You know what I'm saying? But I remember I served Master P there.
That's so random,
bruh. All right, side note, Master P. Shout out Master P, man. I remember I was working at a respect. Oh hell, bro, this man has done so much. He was in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? But, like, I remember I served him when I was working at a luxury movie theater, the type that where, like, you could, like, press a button and a server comes. And I served him, and I was just like, "Hey, you a legend. Like, I just want to, like, recognize, like, you are a legend." He's like, "Thank you, sir." And, like, you know, that was it. And I remember I served him again, and he remembered me. So I just want to say that. Okay, anyway, whatever. I was at this restaurant. I remember I was talking to this gentleman, this older dude, right? And he actually owned a lot of property in my hometown. And I forgot how the conversation sparked, but I was clearing the table and I'm talking to him, and he was just like, "So what are you doing right now? Like you go to school?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to school." He's like, "So what do you, like, what's your degree in?" I'm like, "Business." He's like, "Cool. What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I'm like, I want to be an example of greatness. And then he just like cracked the biggest smile. And he was like, I like that. And I was like, yo, and I just ran with it from there. Like, it just came to me. Like, I'm like, I just want to be an example of greatness. Like, whatever I'm doing, and like lead that inspiration and like lead from the forefront, like be that leader by example type thing. But I also be talking like my shit is just like, yo, I'm gonna be cocky as fuck with my words. I'm gonna be confident as fuck in like my actions, my work ethic, my preparation. But whether I win or lose, I'm gonna be humble. Like I am humble in my victories. I am humble in my defeats. Like, yeah, I can take that L. I used to be scared of taking L's too. I used to be scared of failing. Like when it comes to like a blank paper, right? Doing art growing up, I would be much better at like drawing on a paper like this with like lines and dotted shit and like, you know, like just like a regular fucking journal, right? And I can just draw the best shit, right? But when it came time to like a canvas or like a blank piece of bright paper, I would freeze. And it was like this feeling of fear of like feeling I don't want to mess this perfect thing up. And then just recently, I was journaling, and it was my first journaling that I had done in a minute. And I was looking at this blank paper and I didn't know where to start, and I just started writing. I literally was like, I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of messing this paper up. And that's how I started. And in that moment, I realized like, okay, I fear failing. I feel, but why do I fear failing? What does this mean, right? So I started unpacking the emotions, and I learned that from Kobe, right? To unpack. I was like, okay, failing. What does failing mean? Okay, failing is just not winning, not getting what I want. Okay, so when I don't get what I want, what else is failing? Oh, it's a learning experience. Okay, so I fear learning. Wait, no, I don't fear learning. I love learning. I'm a curious person. I love learning. I learn every day. I read. I digest new information from different people I love. I love learning. So if failing is learning, then I love failing.
Right.
And then that like literally like ever since then, like that was probably like 2.5 weeks ago. I've been operating with a sense of clarity that I haven't operated with in a long time. Like every single day, my mind, like I have fog lights. There's still fog there, but I have fog lights, and I can see through them motherfuckers.
Right. You mentioned Master P, and he has the best story I've heard about self-worth and betting on yourself. You probably have heard it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he was talking about because if you know Master P, he started doing all his selling of his music out of his trunk.
Out of the trunk.
And he was talking about how at the point in the beginning he was broke, and he went with his brother to meet with music executives. I don't remember for which label, and the guy was willing to offer him $1 million to sign right then and there. Master P was like, I had $5 in my pocket, and I looked that man in his face, and I told him no. And him and his brother, he said, my brother didn't say a word to me. Just the whole going from the office to the plane. We sit on the plane. He's like, you're sitting here with $5 in your pocket, and you turn down this $1 million offer from this man. And Master P looks at him, and he goes, let me tell you something. If that man in that office was willing to offer me $1 million, I got to be worth at least 10, 20, 50. Why would I take less than I know that I'm going to be worth at some point? And I feel like that is... And obviously, if you know Master P, you know that man got it now.
That's his game.
Right.
That's game right there.
And I think that was the best example I've ever heard of, like, just because someone tells you you're worth something does not mean you're not worth more than that.
Oh, facts.
If someone tells me I'm worth $5 million, I know I'm worth 100.
Motherfucker, I'm definitely worth more than 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Master P a goat.
Master P
is a silent goat.
He doesn't get the credit.
He's up there with Diddy and Hov.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, easy. But like even in my head, I'm like, damn, I be forgetting about P sometimes because he's just silent. Like he's almost like an assassin with it. You know what I'm saying?
And he did everything his way. And that's
absolutely.
That's the part I love the most.
Absolutely, man. I respect the Master P's, the Hovs, the Nips. I have so much respect for Nip, man. Like just the way he did it. Kobe, like just I'm gonna do it this way, and this is what I believe in, and I'm gonna lead by example. I'm not gonna just talk the talk.
Yeah,
I'm gonna walk and run this motherfucker.
Those are visionaries because you can either follow a path or make a new one, and they're just like, forget this pre-existing thing. Like,
I love it.
I'm gonna just do it how I want to do it. Facts. And that takes so much confidence in yourself.
Facts. Speaking of examples, like what example do you want to be? If you can define it in 3 sentences or less, what example do you want to be?
I don't know if I'm going to follow the right guidelines for this, but I'm going to just answer the best way I can.
That's a sentence.
Someone who never let a circumstance or disadvantage stop them from doing what they wanted to do. Someone who took their responsibilities to leave this world better than they found it very seriously, which I do. And someone who creates things that provoke an emotion in someone, whether it be happiness, sadness, joy, whatever. I want anything that I make to make people feel something. Because the worst thing that you can be, or the worst thing that you can be to someone is indifferent. I would want someone to say, I either absolutely loved Aaron and everything he stood for and everything that he did, or I absolutely hated it and I just don't agree with him. And I'd prefer that than for someone to say, I don't really care. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm here to do.
Good. You're here to be polarizing. I love
that's
it.
what it takes.
Cool. I love it. We're going to be wrapping up right now. And I just want to end it with a few simple questions, simple answers, right? So in a word or one sentence.
Okay.
Try your best.
I'll try my best.
Favorite book?
4 Agreements.
4 Agreements. Favorite movie?
Ooh. Right now, Moonlight.
Oh, okay. Film, like video, or photo?
Film. I feel like that's where I'm going to be able to tell my stories in the best way.
Favorite color?
Gray. That's ironic, I know.
Favorite food?
Halal, guys. Easy.
And favorite person whose last name begins with a Z?
I mean, I guess it has to be Zannelli.
Hey,
I don't know.
there we go, baby. There we go.
Kidding.
All right, man. It was great having you, man.
Of
You're my
course,
brother.
man.
I love you so much. You are a remarkable, uncommon person.
Thank you.
You bring so much light to people's lives, and you inspire people in many different ways.
Thank you.
You are on to do great things. And I support you. I support you. Thank you.
know,
Okay,
you
yeah,
know,
look at this is Aaron, guys. He's the kind of guy that's like, no, you hang up first. No, you hang up. Like, you know, you'll be like, hey, you're great. You'll be like, you're great.
You're
great.
It's in Black people's territory, like in our DNA, to be like, I'm trying to get like you. No, I'm trying to get like you.
Guys, you can follow Aaron and everything that he makes and his mind, his journey, his thoughts, everything. Twitter, Instagram, Aaron Rec, AARONREQ.
Yep. And
right?
everything also at aaronrec.com.
Yeah, aaronrec.com. And follow the podcast, Zannelli Talks, on Instagram, Andres Zannelli. Everything will be in the fucking bio, baby. Okay, so you guys already know. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Love you guys. Love the support. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. We're on to do another one pretty damn soon, okay? Guys, Aaron, love you.
Laters. Love you guys.
All right, man. Peace.